Hey, you are listening to Abyss Gazing, where we celebrate all things spooky and mental health.
I'm your co host, Mark.
And I'm your co-host Josh, and we've got an out of the ordinary one for you today. We're talking about 2007's "Talk to Me," starring Don Cheadle.
Don't be dumb.
Your face was hilarious.
No, we are talking about the 2023 smash horror hit. But before we
See,
are
see,
before we get there,
if you wanted to go with Don Cheadle's Captain Planet, we could have a discussion.
he's a great Captain Planet. We are joined by EJ Ferguson, the vocalist for the band Two Sides of Me, to wrap up our Monster Mosh series that we're doing. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Two Sides of Me has how would you describe the sound of Two Sides of Me? I feel like every band that we have on this bill pretty much draws from a pretty like a collective
Yeah.
kind of sound in terms of, like metalcore, emo, kind of the post-hardcore. But Two Sides of Me is definitely one of the more interesting bands that we have on this bill. I always feel like it's really hard to kind of describe your guys' sound. Can you kind of talk about the sound of Two
Oh
Sides?
man. Metalcore. No, I'm playing. Um, Definitely it is a lot. I mean, there's a lot of like octane stuff mixed in there, a lot of like progressive metalcore or like prog, um, gent. Just like probably those are the main three, I guess. Like I'd say mostly like gent and octane.
What is it like to kind of write music like that? Because I feel like it's not every day that I'm able to like sit down and like talk to a musician quite like Two Sides. And I think that's part of the reason that I am like so drawn to the music is just because of how different you guys sound.
Yeah. I mean, usually like instrumentally, that's kind of all Tony and Jared. Jared, I know listens to a lot of like stuff like in anime and like progressive like era current stuff like that, riffy, riffy music. And I know Tony listens to everything like from rap to like indie rock to whatever. So, um, I think it's cool. Like I think it brings a lot to our songs. It makes it not stale, keeps it interesting. We can obviously do heavy shit, and then we can have a song that's like all singing. So I think it creates a cool like a little balance.
Well, you guys are also getting ready. You guys are on the heels of the 1 week after we do Monster Mosh with you guys, we will be uh doing a uh you guys will be doing a releasing a brand new EP called Those Who Dream of Nothing. Can you talk about what people can expect with this EP?
Um, Gent, no, it's we've obviously like put out the three singles. Two of them are very along that like progressive metalcore spectrum of things. Um, but we have a song that is like pretty much all singing. It's like all me singing. It's the first time I've ever like done something like that. So like I said, I was rehearsing earlier. I'm trying to like prepare myself to play that song live. But a lot of that pretty much just leaning into the themes that we've shown in the singles. I wouldn't say it strays much further than, you know, like you've got Glass Bones on one end of the spectrum, and then you've got like Life Eater and Elegy on the complete other end. So it's very along the same lines of that kind of stuff with the last two songs.
What's the writing process been like for this album? Because this is the first album for you guys, correct?
Um, yes, the first one that we would be okay with talking about. Um, there was an older one before they started doing the more metalcore thing. We were like a pop punk band way before I joined. But yeah, like I said, we don't talk about that one. Um, Writing wise for this EP, a lot of the songs, I won't say a lot. Two of the singles were done before I joined the band, like fully fleshed out instrumentally and lyrically. I added a little bit here and there, but it was mostly done already. And then Glass Bones, and then the last two songs on the EP, were lyrically me and Tony sitting in a room together, bouncing ideas back and forth. So sometimes he'll come up with like some topics, and then sometimes I'll have some stuff. And he's a really good lyricist, so I'm able to kind of, like I said, bring him something, and he can formulate it into like a cool, like he'll come up with cool one-liners and stuff. Um, Instrumentally, like I said, it's always been Tony and Jared. Jared's super influenced by like prog stuff, so they'll just sit in a room with a guitar, and then if we get a cool riff, we get a song out of it 9 times out of 10. So
Just give me 1 second, Matt. I'm getting some technical difficulty feedback here.
retro.
Give me some.
Better than a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we had the entire thing. Let's get 5 minutes in and deal with technical difficulties rather than.
The entire episode later.
Yeah. So just kind of picking up with that, when you guys are writing creatively, like you talk about the lyric writing process, like that's always something that fascinates me because I love poetry.
Yep.
I've dabbled in, writing myself. And so, obviously you have these larger than life, very technical inspirations musically. What is it about like writing or like the themes that you guys are writing in this album? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start with like Elegy and Life Eater. Those two songs, I'd say, are kind of a two-part thing. So like you've got Elegy, and then Life Eater is kind of like the sequel to it. Elegy is about the fear of dying, essentially. It's about the fear of the unknown, like what comes after that, um, the pain associated with it, and just trying to, I guess, deal with the grief of your own life, so to speak. And then Life Eater comes in after that, and it's more of a coming to terms with it, and like I've dealt with this. I'm not afraid anymore. I can face it. Like I can live my life knowing that every moment that passes is something that I have to cherish and make it last. So that's what those two songs are about. Glass Bones was sort of a like relationship kind of thing. It's about communication and how that can sometimes affect us and our loved ones. Particularly the theme of that song is, like I said, a relationship. So it can be all over the place, but I like to be really raw, I guess, in lyrics. I like to hear that in music I listen to. I think it hits harder when you don't have to think too hard about what you're hearing. Um, and it's more of like I like to hear a vocalist say a line, and I'm like, holy shit, he just said that. Like it just hits. I don't know. Tony is definitely, he likes to be more clever with it, so that's where we get some of the cool wordplay from.
Yeah, I did music way back in the day, and like I was always the lead singer, so I'm always like curious about like people's like process for creating this, like bringing this art to life, because uh I don't know, like lyrics are always just something that's really resonated with me, like even now, like as a music fan, like I really love that's just the area of the things that music that I still really love. It's part of the reason that like I have such a feel like a wide range of things that I like, everything from heavy music like
Yeah.
Upon a Burning Body to something classic like
You
NWA or Ice Cube.
Hell
you
yeah.
consider Upon a Burning Body heavy.
Oh,
Heavier, yeah.
It's like easy listening.
okay, Mr. The Witch.
Mark has some like real hot takes on heavy music, so
Oh,
I
dude,
I
so do
actually
I.
I actually like Upon a Burning Body. I got to see him open for, I think it was Whitechapel a few years back, with Acacia Strain and somebody else that I hated, but they all loved because every song sounded exactly the same. We don't know when one song ended and the next began, but I don't remember who they
What
were.
was
So
it? Rivers of Nile?
no, it was so
I could have
I'd
sworn there
have
was a
to
tour with them on there.
It was, let's see, it was Whitechapel, Pawn a Burning Body, and this other band I can't remember. And they were making a big deal about this band in all the magazines at the time. It was like 2017 or something, 2016 when I saw them.
I have no
But yeah,
idea.
yeah, Pawn a Burning Body put on an awesome show though.
They're a cool band. I like them. I only know like one or two songs by them, but
Yeah,
what I've heard I
was it
liked. So
was it Texas Blood Money, I think it's called. Is that the one that everybody knows?
Texas Blood. Oh, the song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, it wasn't that one. There was. Hold on, I gotta look. Give me
The
one
one
second.
that they've gotten like recently like famous for because of social media has been Extermination.
Um,
Yeah.
was it Sin
I've
City?
jumped. Yeah, it probably is that the one that goes
No, no, no.
life
It was BMF. It
sucks
was
sad
BMF.
then.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
remember the music video for it. I thought it was hard as fuck.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of like Bloodywood recently. Because they're awesome.
Hell yeah. I have no idea who that is, but that's sick.
Oh, Bloodywood is fantastic. It's like Bollywood meets heavy metal.
What's
Yeah.
All right.
okay? All right.
We all have homework now.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've been listening to them, Mental Cruelty, a lot of some of the newer releases from Slaughter to Prevail, especially
Borders.
Viking.
Dude,
He's be
Viking is insane.
he's become like King Florida Man
Yeah,
since
pretty
he's
much.
moved down, especially since learning how to kind of roar and roll that R.
I always think that's
Every
Girls,
sick
yeah.
when deathcore vocalists roll their
it's
R's. Like I know
it's
Taylor Barber did it in a song recently with one of his highs. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, everybody talks about how he sounds like a bear because he's Russian, and it's like the most Russian thing you could do is to have a bear as a pet, and he does.
Yeah, fist
But
fighting a bear.
he's he's moved to, or I think it's Orlando. His like neighbor is the singer from Attila, but
Oh,
now
he
he,
lives next to Franz. That
yeah,
explains so much. No wonder he just
Oh.
got canceled like 2 weeks ago.
yeah, his he's either in the same neighborhood or like next door to the singer from Attila,
That's
and
Franz.
um, but yeah, he got down there and now he makes alligator noises, and it's just like, you know what? He's King Florida Man at this point.
What the fuck do alligators sound? I thought they just hiss.
Oh
No, so
no,
there's
they made
actually a video that's side by side. There's where he rolls his gutturals from Viking. Someone took that clip and the sound of a
an
American
alligator.
alligator,
It's the
identical.
same.
It's
It's the
crazy.
same thing.
Oh, okay. These deathcore vocalists need to slow down, bro. I didn't even know alligators made sounds, and we're imitating them now.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
another fucking sound I got to learn how to do to keep up.
And he's even gone as far as people were accusing him of, oh, it's done with computers and all this other crap. And he's like, nope, I'll show you how I did it. And he
Yeah,
did like a quick TikTok showing how he does it.
the Demolisher one. I think somebody was like saying it was pitched down or something like that. Is that the video
Yeah.
you're talking about?
No, this
He's
talking
talking about
about
Viking.
that
Oh,
that yeah, that rolled
Yeah.
R roar he does. Yeah, he
yeah. I
did. He
have
showed how to
videos.
do it.
The alligator noise, bro. Are we
Yeah,
serious right now? Like I can understand a bear.
absolutely.
I get the
Yeah.
tonal throats, I get the gutturals. A bear, totally understandable. But an alligator?
Yep. He does. It's like a throaty kind of growl almost that an alligator makes.
That's
And he does the same thing in Viking, and it's absolutely amazing.
yeah.
That's kind of sick. It's yeah, I
It's
feel like it's kind of like why, but like it's kind of sick.
Uh, I think the answer a lot of times is why not?
Yeah, I guess so. When
Or
you
because I can, one or the other.
when
yeah.
you make music as heavy as they do, I guess you can just kind of do whatever the fuck and it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
vocally.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, I took that off
No,
topic.
you are good, man. This is the song Elegy from Two Sides of Me. And you guys, if you guys like what you guys hear, hit the links in the show notes below. Check them out when you guys Friday the 13th, they're dropping their EP those who dream of nothing. We will be right back. If you or someone you know is listening to this podcast right now and you're struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, we encourage you guys to please reach out. This is the heartbeat of why we do what we do. Suicide is currently the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, and as of this recording, there are 132 suicides that take place each and every day on American soil. And when you scale back internationally, there are 800,000 successful suicides. That is one death roughly every 40 seconds. So if you or someone you know is struggling, you guys can go to victimsandvillains.net/hope. That resource is going to be right in the description wherever you guys are currently listening or streaming this. There you'll find resources that include the National Suicide Lifeline, which is 1-800-273-8255. You can also text HELP to 741-741. We also have a plethora of other resources, including churches, getting connected with counselors, LGBT resources like the Trevor Project, and also veteran hotline as well. Please, if you hear nothing else in the show, understand that you listening to this right now, have value and worth. We get it.
Suicide, depression, mental health, these are hard topics, and the stigma around them doesn't make it any easier. But please consider the resources right in the descriptions below wherever you guys are listening, because once again, you have value and you have worth. So please stay with us.
Welcome back. We are still trying to figure out the mystery of Alex Terrible and his quote unquote gifts. But speaking of another gift and or curse, depending on how you spin it, we're talking about Talk to Me. This is easily one of the best horror films we've gotten this year. This is without a doubt probably the best one from the summertime. And to see that this movie came out of Australia by two dudes who do YouTube videos, this movie is impressive without even getting into the context of the story or the narrative or what they're able to accomplish. Like anything is possible now.
Wasn't it originally a short?
Yeah, I think it was a short, and it got like seen at a film festival or something, and they wanted to make a movie out of it.
So originally, from my understanding, these guys used to do primarily YouTube shorts and like just content on YouTube. Well, they did this at um got into Sundance, and A24 bought it from Sundance. Um Pretty sure that's because there's a clip of like all of the cast and crew like celebrating that A24 like bought it.
Was it the
But
same cast and stuff?
yep.
That's sick.
But when you think about how well this was done and coming from like a short like this, then you look at like was it Lights Out and some of the other movies that started off as a short and how they weren't exactly the best.
What I think is ironic is that we started off the Monster Mosh series with Smile and Artusia, and Smile is based on a short film called Laura Hasn't Slept. And that film works really well, but the film works really better as a short than it here than it does as a feature. But I feel like Talk to Me, this is like, have either one of you guys seen the Ouija movies that they did a few years ago?
A couple of them.
It depends on which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's Ouija and then there's Origin of Evil. I feel like this movie is like everything that like Ouija tried to be. That was kind of my takeaway from this movie is where Ouija tried to have this like emotional depth and try to bring this like three-dimensionality to this toy, and I feel like Talk to Me does it extremely well.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like that's almost sort of the main theme of the movie is like the grief and loneliness and all that stuff. Like I feel like that is more of what the movie is about than it being a scary movie. I feel like the scary, like the horror elements are just there to like further tell that story, which I think is really cool. That's why I like the movie so much. I like horror movies with plot, with more plot than because I don't horror movies don't scare me. I guess like the jump scares don't really get me.
Same.
So I'm more in it for the story than anything. And obviously, like a good psychological thriller horror movie, whatever you want to call it, will give you that. So
Oh, so those kind of movies like Ouija and some of those others all came out with like Oculus and a bunch of them that kind of all essentially had interchangeable stories. They were like the same movie, just this one had a mirror, that one had a Ouija board, and crap like that. And this seemed more like a twist on the possession film than the haunting because we played with something we shouldn't have.
yeah, I think
I
it's cool.
I think I agree like more with like what EJ is saying because like I think this movie what helps it separate from a lot of other possession films is the fact that there's heart. Like the fact that at the core of this story you have a character in Mia that is still struggling with the loss of a parent, still struggling potentially with that parent having committed suicide, not having all of the answers. And I just think that like from someone that is a suicide survivor, this film kind of captures perfectly what it's like to lose someone to suicide and just have this higher stream of answers and just not feeling like you can get them quick enough.
Yeah. I think like it takes all of the classic horror movie tropes where like the dumb kids, the parents that don't really know what their kids are doing, but it gives them like a reason. You know what I mean? Like these kids are making, or I guess Mia specifically is making these dumb decisions, but there's reason behind it. Like because she's going through something and she's like making these dumb decisions because she feels like that's what she has to do to get some kind of like closure or whatever. Which I just think it's like it's a cool spin on all of the things that you would find in every horror movie, but they've just been done so much more, I guess, elegantly. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think this movie is I think that's like the perfect word for this movie is like that there's like an elegance about it that you don't always get with films. I feel like we're starting to kind of slowly get more of these like higher quality, more top tier, I guess. Not to say that like some of the classics aren't, but it's really easy to like mess up a horror film. It's really easy to make a bad one. You know, as much as I love things like Toxic Avenger and Frankenhooker, like I think you need stuff like Talk to Me because it basically sits a mirror up at the audience and like challenges you to analyze its topics like grief, uh, closure, the grieving process, and also kind of the dumb mistakes that you make, but also how that process of grieving can also yield dangerous results, like what we see with Sarah's, I think it was Sarah's brother, ending up in the hospital. Just how violent and uncomfortable that gets.
Yeah. And it's like it's all a result of that undealt with grief that Mia is dealing with. She was in a I guess caretaking position for I can't remember the brother's name, but for her friend's brother, and she was able to forego that for her own like I guess selfish desire because she thought that it would bring her some kind of closure or connection to her mom again, which is like fucked up, I guess, but like also I feel like if anybody was in that same situation dealing with what she was dealing with, you could probably see yourself making the same choices. Um, which is sad, but I mean it does it's a movie that forces you to think about all of those things and like all the situations that you have been in or like could be in if you don't deal with the things that you need to deal with. But
Uh, it
yeah.
it kind of puts people in that seeing someone in that position of how far would you go to be able to see or communicate with somebody like your mom or parent or significant other that had died for one reason or another,
Yeah. I
and
think even the
how far they willing to go for that.
I think the title of the movie too is like the perfect choice because it's like throughout the entire movie, she like I think the movie takes place on like the second anniversary of her mom's death or something like that, and she's obviously not in a great place with her father, because he kept secrets from her. So she's relying on her friends and their families to be there for her, and almost throughout the entire movie, no one is there for her. So she's begging for this like connection with them. She just wants them to talk to her, but like you see in the one of the opening scenes, her friend is like constantly on her phone. When she gets to that party in the beginning, she's like talking to, I guess, one of the guys there, but he's on her phone, like ignoring her pretty much. So I think it's like it's this big theme of like her searching for connection, and she's getting it from these spirits. So she's going out of her way to do all these things so that she can maintain that kind of connection that the people in her life won't give her. Um, but I think it's cool because like obviously everybody wants to feel connected to another person. It's something that everybody longs for. And I think a good movie will prey on, those personal desires and those things that you don't really talk about, and force you to think about them.
Well,
I think
how good of a friend was she really? She was kind of biatch to everybody.
She was, yeah, but I think wasn't she also like talking to some guy or something like that?
And the guy was somebody that, what's her name, Mia or whatever her name was. She dated him too at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel,
Yeah,
Ed Jade.
yeah. He's
I,
so
yeah,
he's her ex. He's kind of her ex. They dated a little bit. It doesn't say how serious it was, but
They
he's her ex, and now he's dating the best friend.
they
And the
held
best friend is,
hands.
yeah, they, oh,
They
you
held
just held hands
hands.
once. No, they did more than that, but
she was sucking on his toes. She had his whole foot in her mouth. They definitely did more than that. When I saw that scene, I was like, "What the fuck?"
it's
I
like,
was
oh,
like, "What did this movie just turn into? We in here sucking toes."
like this is awkward.
Yeah,
But but
but yeah,
yeah,
you're right. Like, how good of a friend was she? She's dating her homegirl's ex. She's obviously not aware of the fact that she's going through something. It's just like,
is
Well,
it that she's not aware or just doesn't care?
no,
yeah,
I want to play devil's advocate here because I
Of
think
course
that
you do.
it comes down to a little bit of both, but I think it also comes down to this, clearly Mia's mother was unwell, and the film kind of alludes to her having either an overdose or just straight up killing herself. And I think that the reason that we see Jade not actually present for Mia to where you're having the interactions that both of you are describing is because mental health at the end of the day is like really hard to talk about. And mental health is like not always going to be a subject that everybody can talk with. And I think so you're gonna have relationships like to EJ's point, like where you feel like you're constantly searching for connections and you you literally go to the end of your rope to where now you are talking with spirits and communicating with people just to feel something to where
yeah,
you're numb. And I think that's kind of in Jade's case, like why we see her kind of approach the relationship the way that we do is because she either is not comfortable talking about it or just doesn't know how to be a friend during that because when someone goes through a mental health crisis not everyone knows how to deal with that.
yeah. Especially if it's not something that you've gone through yourself.
Mhm.
Well, when they go to the party, if like you really paid attention to the party scene,
Mhm.
they all kind of are looking down at and kind of making little comments about Mia even being there.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of confused about in the movie was like, is she seems like everyone easily, I guess, befriends her after a certain point, but it seems like they all in the beginning think she's weird or like she was like kind of low key being bullied or something like that, which I didn't really like. I only watched it once, so I didn't really like get to see what all that was about. But it seemed like later on in the film, like they befriended her, I guess, a little too easily, and it kind of didn't make sense to me.
Well, it's like a combination of she was hoping to find out something about her mom and to impress them. She was the first one to jump in and grab the hand.
Yeah,
And it ends up going past the 90 seconds.
I
yeah,
also think that like she's just an outsider in this like looking to be kind of a little bit more pursuing after because like when you watch her relationships and the interactions with these like this group of people throughout the first half of the movie, it's like you have that like, why is she here kind of approach to the relationship. And then like at some point that changes and that's no longer the case. And I think some of it just kind of comes down to the fact that like she kind of whatever they needed to have her do to be accepted, she hit it and then went beyond that.
yeah. It was just she obviously was like going through something, and people just weren't giving her the time of day, which was very unfortunate. And I think it's like it's realistic in a way of like the lengths that you will go to when you feel alone for some people like and then like back to what you said about like her mom dealing with her own thing was like she didn't get the connection she needed from anybody or the help that she needed from anybody. Nobody obviously paid attention to her to the point where she felt like she had to end her own life. So it's just like it's like a full circle thing, which I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, but
Well, like it also kind of seems like her mom serves as like this cautionary tale, and no matter how much she doesn't want to listen to it, like she ultimately ends up becoming full circle at the end, anyways, because she becomes a part of the spirit realm. And I think the last like couple closing shots are like her being summoned through the Talk to Me game
yeah,
in like another like part of the
country,
world.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
before that too, she's like in the hospital where she like watches her dad go in the elevator, and then she's watching her friend's family leave the hospital. Still, once again, searching for that connection, can't get it like permanently now because you're a fucking ghost. So
I kind of took it more as she was stranded in limbo for basically committing suicide.
that's
And
the other thing too.
they show her dad getting on the elevator and the up arrow is flashing.
He's going to heaven or something.
But yeah, before you jump into that, like there's also I don't know if this is like a very tiny detail that happens like early in the movie, but she's like she's having a conversation with Jade. She's like they're talking about like what their worst fear is, and she actually like talks about her worst fear being like the end of this movie, like being I had this dream where I was in a hospital and like no matter how many times that like I said something, no one could hear me. So
Yeah.
it's kind of again like this movie just does full circle really well.
There was a point. I don't know if it's the same scene you're talking about. I didn't remember the thing about her being in the hospital and no one could hear her, but I do remember she said something about looking. She had a nightmare or something where she was looking in a mirror and didn't see a reflection.
Yeah,
Was that the
that's the
same
same
scene?
one.
Yeah, and then like at
Mhm.
the end of the movie when she's in the hospital, she's looking in the mirror and there's no reflection, which, like you said, it's just like a bunch of full circle moments. I did want to see what you guys' opinion was on when the scene where she dies. Um, does she jump into traffic herself? Does her friend push her into traffic, or does one of the ghosts push her into traffic?
Mark, what do you think?
I thought she did it herself to save the brother.
What do you
That's
think, Josh?
that's kind of what I thought too, but I'm also kind of curious because there are many things in this movie that I feel like are like not cut and dry. They're like open for interpretation. So what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think it was her friend. So I guess like the reason why I think that is like as she's pushing the wheelchair with I think his name was Riley, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, as with
Riley.
Riley and it down to like the towards the interstate or the highway or whatever. She there's the scene where the ghost that's like in the shape or the form of her mom uh says he'll be with us forever. And I feel like that kind of like caused some kind of like spell breaking thought to occur in her head where she was like, oh shit, I can't kill him. Like, what the fuck? So she lets go of the wheelchair. But like obviously before that, you see her friend running in to save her brother. I think because she let go of the wheelchair so subtly, her friend didn't see that and pushed her into traffic to save her brother. I don't know. That's just me. Or it could have been like it could have been the ghost like realizing that like she realized the jig was up or whatever. So the ghost just like throws her into traffic just to get a soul, since they're not going to get Riley's soul obviously because he can't kill himself. So I
I
feel like
mean,
it's one of the two. I don't think she jumped into traffic herself.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I like that interpretation because it kind of also goes into a lot of the what we've been kind of talking about the relationship between Jade and Mia. Like there's definitely like strife. Like this event is like, taking this once probably pretty like close relationship and just kind of like slowly just kind of broken it apart.
Yeah.
Um and I mean that could have been, the culmination
Plus,
of
it's
it.
like right before that, she realizes that Mia killed her father, right? So she thinks
Yeah.
she's as dangerous as she could possibly be. So I don't know. And then like it just adds another layer of like not I don't want to say like doom and despair, but it just adds like another layer of thinking to where it's like Jay didn't realize that Mia had come to her senses, so she could have let her live. So now she has to live with the burden of killing her best friend, which is like I don't know, like another thing where the cycle could repeat itself, and she could like just be drawn into that guilt and the grief, and possibly go down the same route that Mia went down. Obviously, she doesn't have the hand, so it can't get that bad. But like, just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're fine. Like I also like with the scene in Riley, like one of the scenes that like I feel like I don't really get grossed out by horror anymore.
Yeah.
There's like
Yeah.
a couple scenes here and there that like will come across like my viewing habits, and I'm just kind of like, this made me feel uncomfortable. And this film had one of those. It's the scene where
He
they're
tries
in
to
the
pull out
hospital.
his eye.
Yes, dude.
No, that was not the scene I was gonna say. The
What?
scene that I was gonna say was the scene where Mia uses the hand and she like they're trying to like bring Riley out of it. She like that little girl like shows her like all the visions of like everything that happened. You just have
Oh,
like that like weird like horde of people just like slowly like
ripping him
tormenting.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
But
like it's so raw, which I think is like I'm I am a metal musician. I like the edgy stuff. Like I think that was like probably a really cool artistic choice. Like it was very raw, like I said earlier. Like it wasn't like no filter kind of thing, which I fucking love. So,
Yeah,
but
it
yeah,
was.
I definitely think the scene of him pulling his eye out was like the one for me. That one, that dude, I was watching the recap before this interview. I completely forgot about that scene, and it caught me off guard because it was in the YouTube video, and it made me cringe all over again. I was just like, ugh, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I completely forgot that scene even happened.
Yeah, that was the only scene that's kind of like, oh God. The rest of it was like, oh, I've seen that before.
Just even thinking about it right now, man, it's just like, ugh. And he grabbed it and it like squished a little bit, and I was just like, oh, dude.
Squishy,
But I guess that you
squishy.
can't have a good horror movie without like a little bit of gore. So not that
This
I don't know if that would count as gore, but
well, this movie is like very like minimalistic when it has like gore, like
yeah,
because there's not a whole lot like the like I think most of the scenes with like the gore are with Riley, and because you have like when he does it, the possession goes wrong. They don't close the gate in
he's
time,
like
and
banging his head on the thing.
that and then like the scene where he's in the shower and just like
Dude,
doing
yes.
that, like I was like, oh God, this is unsettling to watch.
It's so not gory, but it's like so aggressive that it just makes you like you're like, holy shit, like this dude's really trying to hurt himself right now. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not super detailed, but it's just like gross at the same time.
but after dealing with her mom dying and still having issues with that, you could tell she's having issues with it. Then she's the one to tell the friend's brother, okay, you can do this. And then all this happens.
Yeah. That's what I was
And-
talking about earlier. Like
yeah,
she was able to forego her duty as his um guardian, I guess at the time. I think
yeah,
his sister was there, but like still like they're older than him. But she was being selfish, and everything that happened in the movie was a result of her being selfish. Not that I can blame her because she was going through something, but still.
yeah. She had her issues.
Yeah.
Well, I think this goes, and I think it speaks volumes to the importance of surrounding yourself with community beforehand, because no one is ever ready to is ever prepared for something like the loss of a parent, or the tragedy that happens with Riley in this movie. No one's ever prepared for it, and so like you were saying, EJ, like she spends the entire movie like literally trying to
like grasping for attention.
grasp for attention, search for community. And I think that, because she's still going through this, just this really messed up kind of state of mind, because she's not had anyone to walk with her, you have the all of the stuff that happens in this, that transpires in this film.
Yep. It's all a result of her, I guess. Well, not even her, but like people not being there for her. It's almost kind of like they're the antagonists of the movie, like the real antagonists of the movie, because like if they had just given her the time of day like she needed, they, none of this stuff would have happened probably. Or like even like with her father, how he withheld that suicide note from her. Like if he probably thought he was doing something to protect her, but in the end it caused more of a rift and it caused more of an impact in a negative way than like him just giving her the note. Like if he had just given her the note in the beginning, like none of this stuff would have happened. They would have been able to grieve together. She would have felt like she could trust him. I don't know. Like even like that scene where the ghost took the form of her father and attacked her. I'm sure it only did that because they knew that she didn't feel safe with him.
How would you guys like to help us get mental health resources into schools, conventions, and other events? Well, now you can. Simply go to patreon.com/victims and villains for as little as $1 a month. You guys can help us get mental health resources into current and upcoming generations, educate and break down stigma surrounding mental health, suicide, and depression. And you get exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else. And you guys can tell us which Nicolas Cage movie you want us to cover, and we'll do it. All it takes to get started is to go to patreon.com/victims and villains, or simply click the link in the episode description wherever you guys are currently listening or streaming this episode. Pick your tier and get started today. Yes, it's that simple. So quickly select the tier that you want and help us get hope into the hands of the depressed and the suicidal today.
Calling all cosplayers and photographers in the vibrant cosplay universe. Are you ready to take the spotlight and be featured in the hottest cosplay magazine around? Look no further than Creative Cosplays Magazine. Dive into a world of creativity, inspiration, and jaw-dropping artistry. We celebrate you, the heroes behind the costumes and the magicians behind the lens. Join our community at creativecosplays.com and follow us on Instagram at creative.cosplays and at Creative Cosplays Mag for all the latest updates. Your passion, your art, it deserves to shine. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the next epic issue. Submit your best work and let your creativity roar. Creative Cosplays Magazine, where imagination meets the page. Join us today. Creative Cosplays Magazine. Be legendary. Be creative. Be you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Was it's almost like it gave the ghosts or spirits or whatever ammunition to torment her, something else to kind of mess with her about.
Yeah, and we saw that like earlier too when it took the form of her mom. I think I have a weird theory. And it's
That
not
it wasn't
because I
her
just
mom.
No, well, yeah, no, it obviously wasn't her mom, but like I have this theory, and it's not because I just listened to it 5 minutes ago on YouTube, but the scene where Riley is doing the hand thing at the party. I think the ghost that had possessed him, or the ghost that had possessed whoever had the hand before him, and then the ghost that possessed him were the same ghosts. Because like when he takes the hand, usually like whenever someone initially talks to a spirit, it's more of like they twist and like contort, and it's like a really weird process. But with him, it wasn't as bad as everybody else. So I think what had happened was it was the same ghost as whoever had the hand before him, that was in him playing the part of Mia's mom. Because like I said, it wasn't as bad for him to connect with whoever the spirit was. So I think they were just like pretending to switch.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the Riley's like first time with the hand is after that music montage, right? Where like they're all like in the
Yes.
basement and then like they all kind of do it. You have that like
Yes.
kind
I
of hip
think
hop
so,
beat
yeah.
going. Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong.
Oh,
Did he? Because he had. Was it him that had two different ghosts possess him?
I don't
or was it the boyfriend?
so that scene in particular, it starts off with Jade's boyfriend, Daniel. He's because that's the scene where he makes out with the dog.
Yeah.
And and then they have the montage, and then they have that scene where they're getting ready to pack up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I want to do it," and everyone's like, "No, no, you shouldn't," and then
Because there was a scene
Well,
compromise.
where there
it
was a
was
scene
the
where.
sis-
Oh, good. Sorry.
it was the sister that was no, you can't, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get into the argument and the fight, and she leaves the room, and then Mia's the one that perks up, is like, oh, what if we did it for 50 seconds? 50 seconds, then let him do it for 50 seconds. And he proceeds to start like beating his face on everything.
Yeah. Not only did they go over the fucking timer, but yeah. There was a scene where Mia took the hand, got possessed by a ghost, and the ghost pointed at Riley. So I feel like that was the same ghost that took Riley over later. Because like there was a scene where she got possessed and then she like
I
looked
know
at
which one
Riley
you're
and
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, that was during this. That was during the second party, I think.
Was it the second party?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, because the first party is where she ended up connected too long,
Yeah.
more than the 90 seconds, and the second one, nobody was really connected too long, but
That's what it was.
Riley beat
I
his
fucked
own
up the
face
theory.
in.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
the theory was that it was the same ghost from that moment that took over Riley. Because I guess since Mia had been attached or not been attached, but since she used the hand for longer than she should have, the spirit kind of attached itself to her. And then when they used the hand the next time when Riley was involved, it possessed him and obviously like took the form of Mia's
Her
mom.
mother.
Just so that he would go over the time limit so it could attach to him because he was, I guess, more easily possessed. Because that's the whole idea with the candle, right? Is like blow the candle out, the door closes. So
I feel like that would explain a lot more of like the hostility that we see within the movie. Because like to be like just taking it at face value, it's like okay, like someone made the spirit grumpy, but if you have that like consistency, like with the establishment between the spirit and Riley, that makes a whole lot more sense, and I feel like gives me like a better appreciation for this movie when it's kind of theorized in that way.
it
Did-
makes it more of like one thing, one
Did-
event than separate events.
Did the friend ever try it? What was her name, Jade or whatever?
Did she?
Not that we see.
No.
Okay.
No,
I didn't
and
think so. Because she is
so-
kind of a stick in the mud the whole movie with everything.
You really don't like her.
No, I don't. At no point in the movie was she like a likable character at all.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like they never really kind of explain. I think she's just kind of one of those like horror tropes where you kind of have to have like the quote unquote like voice of reason.
Yeah.
And they're like she's like the closest thing we get to like a
The
voice of reason.
the voice of reason and voice of bitchiness are two different things.
Okay. All right. She did have she dropped some wisdom here and there throughout the movie. We have to like give credit where credit is due, but she was kind of bitchy. I'll give you that.
See, I don't have a problem with her as a character. Like she was a fine character. She served the story.
Well,
Like
the whole reason that Mia ends up picking Riley up at the beginning of the movie is because she's too busy playing on her phone to be bothered.
Yeah. She
And the
completely
whole
forgot
time-
to pick her brother up.
And then the whole time they're talking after that, she's too busy playing on her phone to really have a conversation. And she's more preoccupied with the ex-boyfriend that she's now dating and telling
That's
everybody
so
what they
stupid.
can't do and shouldn't do the entire movie. She's at what point in the movie did she actually have any sort of likable moment?
I mean,
Well, I mean, when you put it like that,
yeah, like I don't hate her as a character. Like I didn't walk away being like, oh man, like she was like despicable. Like anytime she was on screen, like the movie automatically lowered in quality. Like
I didn't say she was a despicable character. I just
that's
you just
she
that's
said
the way
wasn't
likable.
you're like
likable.
making her. That's the way you're
I
making her.
You're making a very strong
analyzing
argument
her.
right now, and I don't want to agree with you.
You don't want to agree, but you're over there like he's got a point.
He's got a point. Yep.
Look, she served what she needed to in the story. Boom. You don't need anything more.
Yeah.
Did they ever say what happened to their dad?
Oh, he died.
They did
Oh
say
wait,
that he
you talking
died.
about Riley and Jade's dad?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm not
I
sure.
am pretty sure that they are divorced and he's kind of on a deadbeat path because it if I remember correctly, there are like throwaway moments where like Jade's mom is like talking about like her dad and just kind of complaining about him. So that was kind of like my takeaway about the dad's relationship there. So
I don't even remember any of that. We be watching movies. Josh be watching movies.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
you did.
any of that.
You'd be amazed sitting there sometimes we get to talking about something and he brings up a point or something that happened in the movie. It's like, dude, that was like
My man in the movie
two
theater with a
seconds.
notebook and a pen. He said, "Yep, that's going on the podcast."
I mean, I have my notebook right here for
Oh
it.
my
So
god.
Yeah.
you know,
He does research before we do an episode.
I mean, that's good. That you should. That's like your just to keep it flowing, I guess. That's why I had to watch a recap because I was like, I don't remember jack shit about the movie other than the ending, which is like kind of what made me go, okay, this was a good movie. So I had to refresh myself.
yeah, I don't know. I was like really sad that this movie like didn't hit like Blu-ray or DVD like a week earlier because it comes out tomorrow
Does it
on
really?
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what a timely
Comes out on the
release.
3rd. We're recording on the 2nd and it comes out on the 3rd.
Oh my god.
But I don't know. I think anything else you guys want to talk about with this movie? Any other theories or things in terms of like mental health?
I got my one theory out there. That's enough for me. I do think I am going to buy this movie though, like a physical copy,
Yeah, I think we are too.
just to have, like, just to maybe put on a shelf and say I have it. Because
Yeah,
I really like this movie.
we're having to kind of pay attention because we ran out of room on the movie shelves.
What? I don't
Yeah,
even have a movie shelf.
we have shelves plural, two actual like 7 foot tall bookshelves. They're like
Okay.
7x3,
I've got
and
like
they're
4
packed.
That's it.
Yeah,
I
but
also have VHSs, so
yeah, mine are all like Blu-ray and DVD and 4K and stuff. So
All my VHS tapes are at my mom's house. I have like Powder, I've got Spider-Man, like some of the
dude,
movies I used to love growing up. The original X-Men movie I have on VHS.
yes.
so much about Powder got explained when it came out that the director was like, was it a pedophile or just convicted of sexual crimes, a predator?
What? I don't remember any of
The
this.
director of Powder? Yeah, he went on to do Jeepers Creepers. It was part of the reason there was a boycott of Jeepers Creepers
Oh,
3
Victor. Yeah.
is
Hey,
because
all right.
he's like a
Look,
convicted. Yeah.
yep. Before we get down that rabbit trail, we can talk about that after. Yeah. Yeah.
Explains so much about Powder.
I have to rewatch the movie because I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen a movie in years.
All right. Well, on that note, EJ, where can people find Two Sides of Me?
literally every social media platform available. We mostly use Facebook and Instagram. We prefer you listen to our music on Spotify, but you can listen to it on Apple Music if you want. YouTube, all our music videos, pretty much everywhere. Yeah, we've been trying to do the TikTok thing a little bit, so anywhere pretty much.
Yeah. All right, we'll provide links for those in the show notes below. And like I said at the beginning of the show, October 13th, Those Who Dream of Nothing hits. So make sure that you guys hit that pre-save option. Mark, where can people find you online?
I just have my Instagram, painting minis and stuff. Titanium Juggernaut painting. Yeah.
Hey, you guys can find me on one letterbox at Captain Nostalgia. You guys can follow us wherever you guys get your podcast from. So head over to Spotify, Apple Music. Go follow Two Sides of Me and then hit subscribe on us. You guys can follow our parent company, Victims and Villains. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and wherever you guys get your podcast from. So until next time, remember, the longer you gaze into the abyss, the more the abyss gazes back into you.
There's nothing holding me.